Welcome to Ashley's Heart Song. This is the place where we get out of the stress and back into our body, our life, and our business. When we tap into the song of our heart, that is when we master the mind and the stress that steals our life. I am Ashley Toyan, your host, and today we have a wonderful, incredible guest with us today. Her name is LeAn Hill, and I'll be introducing her in just a moment. But y'all know what we do every time before we start into the show, and that is our vitality score. How you are in any given moment is going to determine your next moment. So when we can stay in tune to how we are every day, emotionally, physically, mentally, and spiritually, we have a greater capacity to be able to change things, shift things, move things before we get too much in the muck puddle. So this score is all about awareness. It's not about judging where you are. It's not about getting on to yourself. None of that. It's only about you tuning in to where you are today. So emotionally, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being you are emotionally imbalanced. You're a little edgy, moody. That could score between a 1 and a 5. To score between a 5 and a 10, it's going to look more like balanced. You're going to feel joy inside. You're going to be smiling a lot, laughing a lot. You'll be enjoying life. So where are you on the emotional scale of 1 to 10? Mark down your number. Next, score your mental vitality today. Mentally, between 1 and 10. 1 to 5 is going to be the area where you are missing thoughts, where you're a little scatterbrained. Maybe you're fatigued mentally. That's going to be 1 to 5. And then 5 to 10 is you are on point, you're sharp, you've got clarity and focus. Really good between 5 and 10. All right. And write your score down. Next, we're going into the physical you. Physically, your physical body from 1 to 10, where do you stand? If you're going to score below that 5, you're probably feeling fatigued, sleepy, weak. Maybe you're not feeling like doing your workout today. You feel a little sluggish. Maybe your digestive system is a little yucky. Maybe your breath is a little short. Maybe you're under some stress, and so you're having a shortness of breath. That will also make your physical body feel like it's not as strong as it could be. Or you could be scoring above a 5, closer to a 10, where you're strong, you're mobile, flexible, you're deep breathing, you just feel well. That's going to score you closer to that 10. Write down your number. And now let's go into the spiritual essence of you. Spiritually, where are you today? Are you disconnected, misaligned? Do you feel lost? Or are you anchored and rooted in? Are you aligned? That's going to get you closer to the 10. Write down your score. Then you add them up. The highest score is a 40. And remember, this is not about judgment. It's just about seeing where you are today. And if you are below a 30, then look at those areas of your life or the areas of you where you were scoring low, and just see what it is that you could do today to bring some loving attention to that area of you so that you are not finding yourself in that muck puddle. Because that muck puddle is no fun. It'll suck you deeper and deeper and deeper if you stay there. If you don't do anything, if you don't take consistent action to get out, then you will end up staying put. And today's guest is going to show you, I believe, you are going to have some ahas around today's guest and all of the wonderful gems that she is going to share with us today. Let me read you just a little bit about her before I bring her out on the stage with me. LeAn Hill is a champion overcoming warrior of trauma through her Savior, Jesus Christ. I am a life, and I'm going to read this in first person, how she wrote it. I am a wife and a mother. I am a lover of learning all things healing. I am open to all modalities and have dabbled in many, from EMDR to acupuncture to chiropractics to inner child work to Reiki. I love learning, and I love being able to be a small part of people's journey towards healing through all the many varied studies I have undertaken. Welcome, LeAn. Let's bring you onto the stage with me. How are you?
I'm so great. I'm super excited to be with you.
Yes, I am too. Thank you for coming on with me. We're going to have just an incredible conversation. Your knowledge of learning that you have participated in how long of a time? How long have you been on this journey?
I would say the catalyst was 2005.
2005. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow, that's a lot of learning and a lot of practice. So
it is.
it's a lot of practice. Yeah. And did you ever wonder during that time of practice, am I ever going to arrive? Am I ever going to have everything that I think I need? You know, that earthly aspect of us. Did you ever get into that conversation with yourself?
I feel like I feel like when I would learn something new, I would be like, "Oh, this is it. This is the piece I've been missing. This is what I've been waiting to learn. This is what will get us over the top of that mountain." And and I feel like everything is just a one step closer to becoming more healed. And so in the process of time, I've learned healing, we'll say air quotes, being healed, having complete healing is not probably a possibility in this life, but the journey towards wholeness and wellness and becoming complete is the goal. And so that kind of helped me just go, okay, stop reaching and trying to grab for the next thing and go, okay, this is it. This has to be it. And then it's going to be like, oh, okay, I've got it. I feel good. We're healing. We're making progress. Instead, just looking at it like, that was so incredible to learn that piece. What is next? Teach me more.
Oh, I love that. It's that spirit of anticipation.
Yeah.
And anticipation brings such yummy things. It's not expectation where there's a grip to it. It's anticipation, like, oh, yummy, bring me the goodies. I can't wait.
Right.
That's fun. So what started this? You said the catalyst was back in 2005. What was that pitched you into this journey?
So 2005, my husband Carl um, had his back broken in a military training accident. And this isn't a place to throw anyone or anything under the bus. It's just more of there was no support through the military for that. And so it was more of if we're going to get you to walk again and be able to turn yourself in your own bed and put your own socks and shoes on again, then we have to figure out how to invite this healing ourselves. It was not a thing that was happening through the military. So that kind of spurred me in the journey of reaching out to my dad, who's a chiropractor and an acupuncturist, as well as a homeopath. And so that started, I mean, really the last 19 years of learning how to do chiropractics, of learning how to do acupuncture, of learning all the different homeopathic remedies that lack when there's a neurologic issue. And and so I could say that I'm a chiropractor without a license. But I really only did it to help him be able to walk like a healthy person again.
And he can.
But in that, I was able to help a lot of other people along the way who've just crossed my path. So
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So your husband was in that place of inability to move for himself. And through your learnings and I'm just going to call it bravery, right? And your courage to go on that journey with your husband to help him heal and to assist him on that journey. LeAn, I just want to give you kudos for that, because there are many times when I have found that people kind of freeze like a deer in headlights when they're faced with something like that.
Right.
And you may have gone through a freeze phase for just a moment. Freak out dance is what I call it. What are we going to do? But look at what you did for him. And I have met him. So I can tell y'all, he does walk around like a very healthy human being. And that is just that whole healing journey. I wish that we could have a little mini movie around what that looked like, because I'm sure that there was many emotions inside of all of that through that journey for both of you on both sides as a husband and wife. Am I reading that correctly?
Right. You are. There was many times where I would be trying to adjust something, and a spinal injury is really painful, and when you're in pain, it's hard to control your feelings or your emotions and not just wear them on your sleeves and be raw, but it would be like, ow, what are you doing? You're not doing it like dad does it, And I'm like, okay, dad's been doing it for like 50 years. I just have learned this one yesterday. You gotta be patient. And so it was kind of the process of him being patient with me and the learning, and me not being afraid to fail or afraid that I was going to make things worse. It was just being willing to try and try again over and over until we finally got the hang of various parts to where I felt more confident and I felt like, okay, we're getting somewhere, we're making progress. So it was incredible. And there was a lot along the way of, I'd just rather dad come out again, But that's not feasible for my dad to come live where we lived and that kind of thing. So.
Well, and I want to highlight something that you said. You had said that there were times, he's saying, "Ow, that hurts. You're not as good as dad." And it's like, well, I just learned it yesterday. It's given me time. But then that I'm going to call it a fear comes in and says, what if I make things worse? And I want to speak out to the audience right now as we're going to dive into this topic, because how many times have we all not taken action because we felt like I could make it worse? Or what if what I did was make it worse? And then we go on that journey of, oh my gosh, should I have done that? The shoulda, woulda, coulda journey. And so I'd like to ask, how did you get past that? What did you call on within you to get past that fear of making things worse, or, ooh, what if I did that wrong? Whatever that language was in your head. How did you do that?
Honestly, it was literally just the power of Jesus Christ. Like I would just call on help and be like, you're the greatest chiropractor of all. I don't know what I'm doing other than this small little, 2-week session that I had with my dad this month. What do I guide my hands? Help me know how to hold this right. Tell me which angle to do it at, that kind of thing. And I would just wait and listen for inspiration, and by like the inspiration came more easily and things became easier, and that confidence grew to where it was like, okay, I'm not going to mess this up because you're the great chiropractor of all, and you know the body, you created the body, so I trust that you'll help me help him.
That is so beautiful. So you got out of the way so
Yeah.
that a real chiropractor could come into play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really was quite the journey of just saying, I know what I'm supposed to be doing, but I don't quite know in the physical how to make it happen. So please, it was moment by moment, please teach me. So from the totality, from putting discs back in to realigning hips to tipping vertebrae again, the whole thing. So.
Wow. So I'm sure that your relationship and your intuition deepened throughout that journey.
It did to where and I don't often share this, but I feel like I can here, to where I said, Dad, this is getting really hard on my body, doing this 2 or 3 times a day sometimes. My body's tired, my back is tired. You've met my husband, but nobody else has. He's a big guy. He's 6'5" before he broke his back. He's a big guy. So I went to my dad and said, help me do something different so that I don't kind of destroy my body in the process. And he said, well, I've been waiting for you to ask. And I said, waiting for me to ask what, Dad? And he said, well, I know the gifts that you have. And I know that you can do everything that you're doing on a physical level, on a spiritual level, and you don't have to manipulate things physically in order for them to move because of the gifts that you have within you. And that started a whole different journey of, I had been doing it for so many years physically that I knew what it felt like for a disc to go back in. I knew which way it had to be maneuvered. And I knew what it looked like when a needle went in a certain place and a certain point, and what that felt like in a person or in my own body. And so being able to move into a place where I could call on Christ again to say, teach me how to do it on a spiritual level so that the physical body will follow what is happening spiritually. And that began because my husband stayed active duty. So that began a process of being able to do the things that I was doing several times a day at home after several years, being able to do that while he was away.
Oh, wow.
It's more of called an energetic work.
Beautiful. Wow. So would he call you and go, hey, did you just work on me?
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes he would say, oh, you must have worked on me because I could barely walk when I got up this morning from, sleeping in a field or whatever. So he did make great progress from having to crawl to walk along walls to walk normal to be able to go back to sleeping on a cot in the field. So
that's beautiful.
Yeah, the power of Jesus Christ is real, but we just have to be willing to be that conduit.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. Oh, what a beautiful, beautiful journey. Beautiful journey. All right. So let's move a little further into, there's so many directions. You and I were talking before the show. It's like, what direction can we go in on this? And I think we have made just such a beautiful dive into that, the spiritual healing. And so let's go there just a little bit more. There were some points that we were talking about earlier around our journey, everyone's specific journey will lead us towards receiving what we send out into the world. And I'm not sure if most people even think about their life in that capacity. What are your thoughts on that?
I've seen people struggle with the question of like, why does life look easy for people that are not kind or cause hurt or cause pain? Why does life look easy for some people, and the people that are really genuinely good and trying, it seems like a struggle? And my thought with that is just, we are eternal beings, and so sometimes we get our myopic view and we narrow that focus and we think of it only in this minute or this hour or maybe even this year, our life. And so to look at that in that myopic view is kind of, it's making small what we truly are as eternal beings, where what we put out will change the course or the trajectory of where we're going and progressing towards eternally. And so if you want, the power of your thoughts is so incredible. I think often we underestimate the power within our mind and people talk about manifestation and yeah, you can manifest and, great things happen. And then people are like, yeah, but it still didn't happen today. But it's like, if you can open your mind to what the ripple effect of that positive manifestation going out into the world, maybe it's going to look bigger or better than what your original outcome was for that power of positivity leaving your being and going out into the world around you. So that's kind of one of our themes with a friend that I have, is that manifest the good or better than what you can imagine it being.
Yeah.
So that can come back to you to where you have that increased faith and increased light, to where you have more light to hold up and more light to give out.
That's beautiful. So in that process of manifesting that, like, give us an example of you and your friend and what y'all are working on right now. What was that process of manifesting that y'all talk about so that she can live the better? Yeah.
Oh, there's like 100 instances. There's like
Just
100
share one. Just
instances.
share one.
Let's see. Share one manifesting instance. I just said, I really appreciate, I haven't had a car for about 3 months. I said, I really appreciate everybody who's kind of helped and allowed me to borrow a car when needed. But I'm manifesting being able to find the right car for me where I am at this time, for what we have temporally to be able to give for that. And I'm manifesting that it will be better than I planned, because I'm sure that my plan is very short-sighted. And so I said, it will be really great if that could happen before I call her mother-in-law instead of mother-in-law, before my mother-in-law would get home, whose car I was borrowing while she was on a trip. And 3 days before she got home, we just happened in a neighboring town upon a car that someone was selling by owner, and he was like, my wife is devastated to give up this car, but she has to have a bigger car. She can't cart all these kids around. And I was like, tell her devastation is the answer to what I've been putting out into the universe and longing for and praying for, to find something that was exactly what I was needing. So temporally, that's very temporal thing. But spiritually, I could say I'm manifesting that regardless of direction that I think I want to go in teaching a Sunday school lesson, like I'm the Sunday school teacher, to be guided by the Spirit to teach what is needed for even one individual that day. And then to just step out of the way and let the leading happen, and let the Spirit guide, and then have one person come up at the end and say, I've been praying for help in this way, and this was my answer today. And so just put out there that you're a willing vessel to be directed, to be someone else's answer, and that you're also willing to accept blessings when they come back to you. That's kind of part of it, because often we feel like we want to give but receiving feels wrong somehow. But that's part of the manifesting and the circle of abundance, the letting back in, so that you're built up, so that you have more to offer.
That's beautiful. It's just such a beautiful circle. And as kids, we received really well, especially Christmas morning, right? I mean, it was like, oh, just bring me all the gifts you want. But it's interesting how, as we get older, as we go through our adult years, and all of our experiences kind of steal away that childlike zest for receiving. And it's more of, ooh, am I worthy of it? right? So you work with people on this, on healing the inner child. And I kind of went at it at a reverse thing, you know, the childlike zest that we can have in that receiving, but the inner child trauma that you've worked with some people, and then that journey. Do you want to speak about that for a minute around the inner child?
Sure. I love inner child work. I honestly, I'm still doing my own inner child work, so I'm not coming from a place of, I think in life we can always be like, I'm the pot, you're the kettle. We're always going to be doing that. There's always work more to be done in someone that maybe is one step ahead in this area, but three steps on a different path in a different area, not necessarily behind, but in a different sense, not where someone else is. So not coming from a place of I have got this down and all is well here within, but that the process is really beautiful as it's transpiring, to be able to connect with the little person that's inside you that is longing to be seen or recognized, to finally be noticed, to finally have um that like internal, unconditional, beautiful love that is sought after. And people can have amazing parents and have trauma outside the home. People can have incredible trauma from loss of someone super close or in a very tragic way. And so it's not necessarily trauma stemming from abuse. There's all forms of trauma that create this need for this little inner child inside to kind of go into hiding. Like, I have to get away from all of these really confusing, really big feelings that I don't quite know what to do with. And so it's reconnecting with that little person. And I think people will always be lonely and always be longing and looking for love until they can truly connect inside with their little person.
Wow. That was powerful. You remind me of when I had the eating just eating disruption is what we're going to call it. I went through a time in my life where I was afraid to eat, and the practitioner that I worked with, she had me work with my inner child, with the fears that were there and very present, and because that little girl showed up a lot during that time to protect me, of course, but I was going hungry, right? I was in starvation mode. And but it was beautiful to work with her and to build that relationship and notice when she does come into the forefront in order to protect me, and how I really had to work with her and say, look, I know that you want only what's best for me, but it's time for you to just, go over there into that wonderful little playground and play, and I'll come over and play with you later. But right now I've got to run my life. I'm operating my life as the adult that I have grown up to be through all my experiences. So thank you. And I'll come play in a little bit. you know. And so we had this beautiful little relationship where it was playing on the side and then I'd go to work. Yeah. Yeah, it was very healing. It was very healing. I'm sure that's very satisfying for you to work with people in that arena.
It is. It's amazing. It's really beautiful. And often, if there's so much trauma that someone is so disconnected with self that they can't even picture themselves as a child, um, that creates an opportunity to help them come to a place. Sometimes it takes looking at a picture. Let's find a picture of you at any age, and what do you see? And sometimes there's a nothingness, and then that's kind of when we tie in the art therapy and figure out like, okay, well, what does your little person want you to know? And so the journey with each person is kind of figuring out, how can I help you connect with that little person inside? Because sometimes they're so far away that it makes a hard journey, but it's so beautiful. Everyone is so different, and seeing that connection and changing countenance when you make that connection it's so incredible.
Well, would you say that that is your favorite modality that you work with for healing?
Oh, that's so hard. I would guess right now it's kind of my new favorite. I kind of say that about everything, like, oh, that's my favorite thing to learn about elements and which element like is your predominant element within you inside, and figuring out how that influences why you are the way you are, what tendencies that you do have. I feel like I could say that with every new hurdle that I climb intellectually and learning about something new. And I'm like, that's my new favorite. But right now, I think because of the group of people that I'm working with and the work that is being done with inner child work right now, I would say right now in the moment, that is what is bringing me the most joy, is to see people connect with themselves within.
That's beautiful. And that brings in that power within that each of us have, right? It allows them to tap into that true nature that they have within themselves.
And everybody has that eternal, infinite light of Christ within them to be able to heal yourself. Everybody has that. And I tell people, like, you don't need anybody else. Truly, you don't need anybody else. It's all within you. But sometimes we're so disconnected from self, we can't connect to that, tap into that healing power that is already within. And so it's just helping people reach that, to where they have that wellspring of living water finally flowing again. And it's not like a dry desert inside.
Beautiful. Do you feel that, or see from your experience, that many times the reason why people can't tap into that and they lean into other people to help them is a fear that, well, the fear could be on any certain level, right? But do you find that it's typically a fear that they have, that they don't trust that within themselves, that separates them?
I think a lot of people don't trust themselves in making good decisions or getting their own answers, whatever that be. And a lot of the fear comes from, well, it's also a trauma response, but a lot of the fear comes from almost being afraid to connect. Like, oh, I don't want to open that box and go back down that road. But it's almost like people have to get to a point where there is no option to move forward until you reconnect with little self in the past and go forward together. It's almost like when you're dragging the little kid along and they've already walked 3 miles and they're just like wanting to lay down on the ground. So everybody's little child inside is eventually going to say, like, I'm just going to lay down and throw a tantrum until you actually pick me up and carry me with you, because I hurt really bad. So that fear is a real thing. So I don't want to minimize that at all. But I also just want people to know their authenticity is so important, and everyone has incredible gifts and everyone has power within them to be able to heal. It's just sometimes we need someone else to see us and to know us and to acknowledge and recognize what they see in us already that we can't see in ourselves, so that we can finally make some connections.
True that. Isn't it interesting how there are people who can always see us so much clearer than we can see ourselves? And anytime I have one of those people in my life, I'm always so grateful for them. Sorry, y'all, I was just choking on something, just my throat. Yeah, just that coming across people who just really see you. It's just, that is the best feeling in the world, I believe. When someone can really see you and who you are. And it's the best reminder, and you bring this to the forefront for us, that it's such a great reminder for us to really slow down and be present with people. Because the way that you are able to work with all of these people, LeAn, is because you get so present with them. And I've been in your space before, and you were so present with me. There was all of this stuff going around, but I was the only one in the room when I was speaking with you. And that from your perception, you know, that's just what I felt, was that it was just you and me in that room with 100 other people. It was just you and me. And that is such a gift that you have, to really see people and help them. And I just wanted to let you know that I saw that. I see you.
Thank you. Thank you. And I love that. It is my favorite thing to be able to run into someone that's just like, I just start chatting with, and then I just ask, like, help my spiritual eyes to be more clear and help me to see who they really are and what's really happening inside, so that I can just help honor that within them. Because most of the time people just need to know that someone else is aware that they're alive, or that they're trying, or that there is a struggle within that they're not voicing. So
Wow, that's so beautiful. So beautiful. Thank you for sharing you with us today. And LeAn, I'm probably going to have you back on as a guest again, because there was so much that we didn't get to. So much we didn't get to. So thank you. Thank you. Is there anything that you would love to say in parting on this show? Anything you would love to leave us with? Final thought.
I think just know that you're beautiful. Just know that God created you exactly the way you are, and the type of person that you are, with the type of brain that you have within you, because that is what is needed in the circle of influence that he has placed you in. And so to not long to be like the next person, to be able to take comparison out of your life, and to be able to stand in your authentic self and just learn to love who you are and the way you were created in all of the ways, because that is truly what is needed. It's trusting in that.
So beautiful. What a gift. Thank you, LeAn. Thank you
Yeah.
for leaving us with that.
Thanks for having me.
Well, you betcha. Thank you everyone for joining us today for this show, Ashley's Heart Song. So grateful you have been here. Join us next week as we continue to armor up our lives. We'll see you